This problem is asking us to find the sample space and the outcome space, or the event space, for a particular event related to an experiment, essentially. So in the first example on the left, we have suppose we flip a coin twice, find the sample space and the outcome of the second flip being heads. Okay, as far as sample space, let's use a big capital S to represent that. The sample space is going to be a set of possible outcomes. Our outcomes here are going to be doubles. They're going to be two letters because we have to somehow represent the first flip and the second flip of the coin. Okay, coins, of course, can either be heads or tails. So our four outcomes here would be head, 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 tail, tail, head, and tail, tail. And these are the four different outcomes of our sample space. Okay, as our follow-up now, what's the second part of the problem? The second part is to find the outcome of the second flip being heads. So I'll use a capital letter A to represent that outcome, and we're going to try to find the set that represents that. So going back up to the sample space, which is the set of all possible outcomes, of those four outcomes, which ones have second flip being heads? So in other words, which ones have the second letter in the pair being heads? Of course, that would be the HH and the TH. So the event, or the outcome of having the second flip being heads, would be HH and TH. And that completes the problem. So now why don't you try it again, but on the right-hand problem here that says, suppose we flip a coin and roll a die. Find the sample space and the event of getting a head and an even. Okay, so assuming you paused the video, gave it a good shot, let's see if you got the right answer here. The sample space this time involves the event of flipping a coin and rolling a die. So the coin could be either a head or a tail, and the die could be any number 1 through 6. So to represent our sample space this time, we're going to need H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, and T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, and T6, right? Because we are both flipping a coin and we are flipping a coin and rolling a die. I think this one might have come off the edge here, so let's see if I can keep it in. Okay, so now sample space. Our sample space this time is supposed to be getting a head and an even. So let's use A again. This event now has to be getting a head and an even. So going back up to the first options in the sample space, which represents all outcomes, which ones have a head and an even? So not H1, but H2 does. Not H3, but yes to H4, no to H5, yes to H6, and none to any of the other 6 options because none of those had a head, right? They all had tails. So our event space this time would be H2 and H4, and finally H6. And those would be the 3 outcomes, the 3 pieces or elements that would show up in our event space.